You might be wondering, what exactly is a confessional Lutheran? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching, from wherever you're watching. Welcome back to In With and Under, the channel dedicated to explaining the rich and vibrant tradition of Lutheran theology and liturgy. I'm your host, Jason. Whether you're a lifelong Lutheran, an evangelical curious about our practices, or someone with questions and doubts, this channel is for you. Today, I want to explain what we mean when we talk about being confessional Lutherans. You might be wondering, what exactly is a confessional Lutheran? To put it simply, a confessional Lutheran adheres to the teachings and practices outlined in the Lutheran Confessions, which are a collection of documents that articulate our beliefs based on Scripture. The core of these confessions is found in the Book of Concord, which includes the following texts: the Augsburg Confession, the Apology of the Augsburg Confession, Luther's Small and Large Catechism, the Power and Primacy of the Pope, the Smalcald Articles, the three ecumenical creeds, and the Formula of Concord, which is divided into two parts: the Epitome, which is a brief summary of the key doctrinal positions, and the Solid Declaration, which provides a more detailed theological explanation. Both were written in response to doctrinal divisions among Lutherans and remain essential for understanding confessional Lutheran doctrine. A unique feature of confessional Lutheranism is what we call subscription to the Lutheran Confessions. Now, there are two kinds of subscriptions: quia and quatenus. These Latin terms explain how we view the confessions in relation to Scripture. Quia just means because. This means we subscribe to the confessions because they are a correct and faithful explanation of Scripture. Quatenus means insofar as. This implies subscribing to the confessions only insofar as they agree with Scripture, leaving room for disagreement or reinterpretation. This difference is crucial. Confessional Lutheran church bodies, like the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, LCMS, the Wisconsin Evangelical Lutheran Synod, WELS, and others, hold to a quiescent subscription. They affirm the confessions wholeheartedly as faithful to Scripture. However, not all confessional Lutheran bodies subscribe to every document in the Book of Concord. Some bodies adhere to all of the confessions, while others subscribe to only certain ones. For example, the LCMS and WELS adhere to the full Book of Concord, embracing all of its documents as faithful and necessary for understanding Scripture. The Evangelical Lutheran Synod also holds to the full Book of Concord. The AALC, or the American Association of Lutheran Churches, also subscribes quia to the Lutheran Confessions, that is, because they are a correct exposition of Scripture. This means they hold to the confessions as faithful and binding doctrine. Because of this, they are in altar and pulpit fellowship with the LCMS. More of that in a later video. But other groups, while still holding to the confessions, may limit their subscription. For example, the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, or ELCA, holds to a quatenus subscription, meaning they accept certain parts of the confessions but may not and do not necessarily subscribe to all of them, especially those that they believe are no longer relevant or that conflict with modern perspectives. Some Lutheran bodies may only subscribe to the Augsburg Confession or Luther's Small Catechism, seeing these as the most foundational documents for their theology, but not necessarily the rest of the Book of Concord. The AFLC also subscribes quatenus, that is, insofar as confessions agree with Scripture. This allows for individual congregations or pastors to set aside parts of the confessions they disagree with, leading to doctrinal inconsistency and a more congregational approach to theology. Now, Let's look at two more Lutheran bodies: the Lutheran Congregations in Mission for Christ, or LCMC, and the North American Lutheran Church, NALC. Both of these bodies are also confessional, but have a more flexible approach when it comes to their subscription to the Book of Concord. The LCMC holds to a Aquinas subscription. This means they accept the confessions in as much as they align with Scripture, but they are more open to differing interpretation on some matters. They do not necessarily require full adherence to all of the documents of the Book of Concord. The NALC also takes a Aquinas approach, accepting the confessions insofar as they agree with Scripture. However, they have a strong emphasis on the centrality of the gospel and a mission, which sometimes leads them to prioritize those aspects over strict subscription to the entire Book of Concord. This flexibility is part of what distinguishes them from bodies like the LCMS in Wales, which fully subscribe to the Book of Concord on a quia basis. Why does this matter? Because a quia subscription ensures consistency in teaching and practice. It emphasizes that Lutheran confessions are a reliable guide for understanding Scripture. Aquinas' approach, however, introduces subjectivity along with personal or cultural biases to influence theology. For example, in the Augsburg Confession, Article 4, we read, "Our churches teach that men cannot be justified before God by their own strengths, merits, or works. They are freely justified for Christ's sake through faith." The emphasis on justification by grace through faith, central to Lutheran theology, is delivered to us through the means of grace, such as baptism and Holy Communion. Our adherence to these confessions also shapes our worship practices. Lutheran worship is centered on Christ and his gifts, using a structured liturgy to ensure the focus remains on Christ's work, not our own. In contrast, modern evangelical worship often prioritizes personal experience, with varying degrees of emphasis on music, testimonies, or less formal structures. At In With and Under, my goal is to illuminate these distinctions and provide clarity on what it means to be a confessional Lutheran. Whether you're exploring these ideas for the first time or deepening your understanding, we're here to help. So, whether you're here to learn, explore, or deepen your faith, join us on this journey. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated. And as always, leave your questions or topics in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, remember that in, with, and under everything, Christ is present with us. God bless you.